What's up, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out. I miss you guys in the morning. So what am I decide to do? I decide to talk. It's 7 in the morning. I miss doing Hour Tua. I'm bringing Hour Tua. I'm bringing Hour Tua to the midday show. You know, you still have a second hour, even if it is not in the middle. I will be missing everybody, though, because I know a lot of people, a lot of parents drove their kids to school and love singing Hour Tua, you know, in the car as they're heading to school. And it's definitely even more gleeful this time of year. Now, Miami Dolphins have a quick turnaround, and we'll be having some more coverage of that coming up on the Porpoise Pod. If you guys haven't heard our celebratory or watched our celebratory episode, I recommend it, and it would mean a lot to me if you guys could go download that. But Mike McDaniel, as I phlegm up there, you can tell I'm rusty already. Mike McDaniel is this guy loves him some Tua. You know, this we knew. But I think that he is coming away even more impressed with Tua every single week. Now, we know that it was a very efficient game from the Dolphins quarterback. He only needed 13 passes to beat Josh Allen's 60 passes. And that's just because he's more efficient and better at the deep ball than Josh Allen is, who is a dink and dunker, you know, little check down artist. Old noodle arm Josh Allen sitting there, you know, one-dimensional QB. Running all around there, can't throw the ball. And now, you know, they look up. They look up. If the Bills look up, you know, don't hurt your neck. You got to look up and see the Miami Dolphins atop the standings. And I got to say, before I get into Tua, the reaction of Bills Mafia, embarrassing. It really has been. The reaction off of that loss between the injury excuses, the sun and the heat, and, you know, all of the belly aching that has come from a thing that likes to be called Bills Mafia. A mafia. Could you imagine a mafia being this much in their feelings about that? Like, it really is quite something to behold. A fan base that prides itself on toughness, jumping through tables, braving the cold, is sitting here belly aching about the weather. You play in a tundra, and you're sitting here upset because you realized in Miami, oh my God, it's hot. Crazy enough, though, that it wasn't bothering you in years past in the win streak against the Dolphins, but now all of a sudden it's an issue. And then to the injury front, you lost to a quarterback who had a broken back, and you're sitting here talking about, oh, we didn't have our starting secondary. Dude, you were on the field for like 5 minutes. And then to the national media who is sitting here, I mean, I'm hearing everybody from Stephen A. Smith, who's like, the Bills beat themselves. Bill Simmons, who's like, who was, you know, another one of these flapjack flip-flop artists who was like, I'm not in the Bills this season. And then is like, go 16-1. Well, say what you mean what you say there, Lil Willie. What do you mean? Because you weren't Team Tua, and now all of a sudden you weren't the Bills, but now all of a sudden they're going to go 16-1. It's very interesting to hear what all that reaction has been, because the long and short of it is, you may look at it and say, oh, well, this is a game that the Bills dominated because they had the ball for 40 minutes. But in reality, it's almost an indictment to have the football that long and put up that few points in a game. That to me was like, what is this? This is the 1970s? This is back in the day of Zonk, where we're just doing ball control the entire time? No, dude. This is supposed to be the most dangerous offense that was lighting up the world champs, that embarrassed the Tennessee Titans, and they get against the Miami Dolphins. Are you saying you were scared of the Miami Dolphins offense? What is it? I would like to know. It's just been very notable. You know, I'm finding the reaction nationally to be very Miami Heat-esque. You know, where nobody wants to just give the Miami Heat credit. Nobody wants to go and say Jimmy Butler's just a great player. Same thing's going on here. You want to blame instead of say, hey, maybe this Dolphins team is pretty good. We knew this Dolphins defense was good. They had not looked great the week before when they had taken on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, he may be a better player than Josh Allen. You ever think of that? And the Dolphins had their hands full. He's one of the most explosive players in the league. and they still came up with key stops when they needed to. This just happened to be a game where they basically came up with key stops after every drive following the first 3 drives. So I just find it interesting seeing all of the reaction. But getting back to the quarterback and getting back to Tua Tagovailoa, he wins this game, banged up, by the way, not 100%. But does he bellyache? Does he whine? Does he cry? Does he rip somebody's helmet off because maybe or maybe not his junk was touched by a defensive lineman? No. In fact, what does he do? He wins, and then he consoles his opponent. He hugs Josh Allen. Shh. It's going to be okay, baby. Shh. Tua just goes to me. Devi says, it's okay, Joshy. It's okay. There's no I in team. But you know what the T stands for in team? Try. And you tried to beat us, but you didn't. Because you know what there is an I in? He goes, what, Tua? Win. Which I just did. I beat you. You noodle-armed, one-trick pony. We know Tua didn't say anything that mean. He was probably asking for his address so he could send him a Christmas card later. The point being, though, Tua Tagovailoa showed unbelievable toughness in that game. Now, concussion protocol, the Players Association looking into it, that'll be an interesting thing. I certainly, like all of you, thought that when he did the wobbly legs, they described his back as Gumby afterwards. I thought that he was concussed too. But he is sitting there and saying, no, back injury. Back is what locked up. That's what made me not be able to walk. It is interesting, though, seeing what the reaction has been afterwards with yesterday, Mike McDaniel speaking about his playing status for Thursday, and the Dolphins coach wasn't too sure.
I have an update for that he's feeling sore. But as far as everything else, we're just acquiring information right now. In terms of the exact imaging and stuff. But yeah, he was pretty sore, which we knew he was going to be. His ankle was a little sore too, from all of his inner trench warfare. So but we're just these Thursday night games. You get used to just doing the best you can, and we're trying to get information as fast as possible, and we'll be working fluidly from that. But right now, especially in a hard-fought game like that, not just Tua, but there's a lot of players that will be adjusting to on the fly, seeing if they can turn it around and give a healthy outing on Thursday.
Yeah, we know that the Dolphins have already been dealing with some injuries on the offensive line with Armstead. We know that Xavier Howard hasn't been 100% either. And certainly there were more injuries coming out of this game. It's a tough turnaround. Look, I don't like Thursday night football. I think it's bullcrap. I think that what these guys do on a weekly basis is hellacious as it is. You think about Teron Armstead not practicing all last week just to gear it up to play on Sunday. You're just getting such a bullcrap product from the NFL, and it just feels like you're heading for a game that's going to be pure slop between the Dolphins and the Bengals. Now, look, will I be willy-nilly saying it's pants if it went? Of course. But, it almost feels like in the NBA, it's like when you have a back-to-back, second night of a back-to-back in Denver. It's like, you're not winning that game, dude. And this one with the Miami Dolphins, they're taking on a Cincinnati Bengals team that is certainly still desperate because of the close losses they had early on in the season. Didn't have as much of a slugfest as the Dolphins did. The defense not playing as many snaps as it did. And now you also have a quarterback who is dealing with a back injury, possibly a head injury, an ankle injury, and, has had durability issues in years past. So now you're asking yourself as the Miami Dolphins, is it even smart to play Tua this game? Is it even smart to put him out there in a situation where we may not have him for weeks on end? Now, that being said, you want to give yourself a chance to win. Mike McDaniel talked about what Tua got himself in terms of goodwill because it's football and they're crazy people and they play through everything, and what he was able to earn himself even more so from his teammates to go out there banged up, where everybody thought that he was concussed. Even Mike McDaniel admitted, like, I thought what you all thought when I saw him wobble like that. And to come back and make big plays to Jalen Waddle down the field to lead to a victory, yeah, it definitely buys you a lot with your teammates. But now the question is, like, can he turn that over and do it again on such a short week? I think it's a big ask, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tua Tagovailoa doesn't play this week, because you've already gotten the good grace of getting off to a 3-0 start. You have 2 division wins, so you have head-to-head already with tiebreaker in the division so far. And I think the next one, conference is like one of the tiebreakers, but you never want to throw away any game, and you never want to go into these things thinking, let's just be okay with losing this one. Like, a maintenance program in football is almost unheard of, but maybe it's not the dumbest thing in the world. Now, I think Tua knows what the narrative is on him, and that, he's trying to scrap all that stuff. Arm strength, work ethic, durability. I think he wants to scrap all that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a crazy person. Listen, we saw what happened with Justin Herbert this past week, playing with getting the shot in his ribs, or potentially was getting a shot in his ribs. But we also saw Justin Herbert that was not himself, that was playing not up to snuff. You got Jameis Winston out here playing with fractures in his back. These quarterbacks are insane in the things they're trying to go through. Mac Jones, as much as I make fun of him, playing through back injuries, now he's got an ankle injury. So is it the dumbest thing in the world for the Miami Dolphins to go about this and say, maybe we could figure out a way of winning this game without our quarterback? It's a situation where if we can, worst things to worst, we're 3-1. But if we pull this out and go into almost an extra bye week and give Tua all that time to get himself right for, I think the Jets are next, I think is afterwards, which is another division game, which are there is more weight into those. There is more importance into those. Look, from an entertainment standpoint, of course I want Tua Tagovailoa to go out there selfishly and go whoop Joe Burrow's ass on national television right in front of that show pony Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's going to be on the broadcast. And I certainly don't want that bearded loser to sit there and be like, well, what is he good at? What is Tua good at? Stroke my beard. Not to the level of Fitch. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. But who cares at this point? Like, you're off to this rockin' start, and it's been a dream start to the season so far. This is not a real football game, it feels like, in a lot of ways, because of the quick turnaround and the type of game you just played. So if he doesn't play and he doesn't go out there, and I just can't say I would blame the Dolphins in that situation. I don't think it's the dumbest thing. And this has nothing to do with investigation, making good on any of that stuff. I think that if Tua genuinely could do well from some rest, having a week off from practice, and the way that they put it out yesterday, they didn't practice, but in the injury report, it's like an estimation. So they put him down as did not participate. So they would assume that he wouldn't have practiced yesterday. Now, that being said, a lot of guys wouldn't have. They say, Robert Hunt, Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, Brandon Jones. These are all the guys they would. Melvin Ingram would have been a vet rest day, but everybody else is kind of dealing with something. Even Javon Holland would have been limited. Kader Kohu, Zach Sealer, Cedric Wilson. So a lot of guys were banged up coming out of that game. And so if there would have been practice, you would have seen a lot of guys miss in action yesterday. And that's what this bloody Thursday night football is. It's insane that you have to have this right away turnaround, getting yourself ready for a game. We're seeing, this is week 4, and how insane it is with all the injuries that pile up in this league, and what these guys go through. I don't think the genuine fan can comprehend what these guys do to get their body right and what the ramifications are for their bodies afterward. Not to be a downer on it, but as much as it pains me, I really think it's not the dumbest thing in the world to sit Tua Tagovailoa this week. I really think that if this is the case, that he is, I'm really gonna miss out greedily, like a fat football pig that I am. I would love to roll in the slop with Tua versus Burro. I would love it. But there are, going to be 13 more games after this, and you already got yourself off to a rockin' head start. You would come out of this thing still tied for first place, even if the Bills beat the Ravens, which I don't know that they will. And from that standpoint, you see that the Patriots, they look like they're about to be sunk because they don't have their quarterback for multiple weeks, and the Jets are the Jets. So I just think that there doesn't need to be this desperation factor. You are playing with a bit of a house money game on Thursday in an already tough situation because it's inhumane to have these guys turn around and play football that quickly. So we'll see. I think my best guess is Tua is going to play because I just feel like he's telling everybody I'm not concussed. It's my back, even though we all saw him wobble the way that he wobbled. And I think that he definitely wants to answer the bell for all of these games. I think it's like a thing for him, but I wouldn't be against him sitting. I really wouldn't.